Democrats feeling more optimistic after sweeping wins Tuesday night are already looking towards the 2020 presidential election. Some familiar names to the party signaling they are not ruling out a run, including former Vice President Joe Biden.
I have a regret that I am not president because I think there's so much opportunity. I think America is so incredibly well positioned.
But is focusing on the faces of the past the best strategy for Democrats looking to the future? Fox News contributor and syndicated radio talk show host Leslie Marshall and Vince Colanese, who is the editorial director for the Daily Caller, join us live. Good to see you both tonight.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, good to see you.
Leslie, I'll start with you. I mean, Joe Biden is well loved. He polls well across the board, across all kind of ideological lines, but he would be 77 if he runs again. Is that the future of the Democrat Party?
Well, what do they say? 70 is the new 35. No, I can't get on people for age. I mean, my mother actually became a VP when she was 57, didn't retire until last year, and she's 78. And sometimes people have that second win. The thing that I like about Joe Biden as a Democrat, and honestly was concerned about him running against Hillary last year, was that he really appeals to that working class, blue collar crowd, which quite frankly helped to put Trump over the top and win. I think Joe Biden is the only name out there right now that could defeat Donald Trump, regardless of his age. And even though we have some good names coming up on the horizon in the Democratic Party, I think that they're too new and too inexperienced to defeat Donald Trump and make him a one-term president.
Well, Vince, what does that say about the party? Because, you know, it was not that long ago that Nancy Pelosi was challenged within her own party and by the press saying, are you going to stick around forever?
Yes.
There was a run against her. And when it comes to leadership in the House, you've got Steny Hoyer, James Clyburn, Nancy Pelosi, all well into their 70s. And a lot of folks think, well, you know, they're trying to get things done in the House as Democrats. There are younger members, including Linda Sanchez. She's a Democrat out of California. And this is what she says about that. She says they're all of the same generation. And again, their contributions to the Congress and the caucus are substantial. But I think there comes a time when you need to pass that torch. And I think it's time. These are conversations that are coming from within the party, Vince.
That's right. And old white people leading the Democratic Party, that doesn't exactly work out for a party that's prioritized race over everything else, identity to politics over everything else. So they're often going to be looking for a young and diverse face. It's not going to be an old white person. In terms of the working class and identifying with the working class, that's obviously an important vulnerability of the Democratic Party. They've spent the last 6-7 months looking into all of this and assessing, wow, the reason we lost to Donald Trump is because we lost the working class. And the question is, like a guy like Joe Biden, if he's going to appeal to the working class, what about the rest of the leadership in the Democratic Party? It seems like the party's moved on from being concerned about that working class. They've moved too far into the identity politics realm. Transgender bathrooms, global warming, the average American's thinking, no, how do I get a job? How do I get back to work? How do I make more money? And the leaders of the Democratic Party are struggling to get back in that direction.
Well, listen, you know that the GOP likes to run against Nancy Pelosi. They think that they want her to stick around. In fact, the president tweeted this when she was talking about I'm not going anywhere. He said, I certainly hope the Democrats do not force Nancy P. out. That would be very bad for the Republican Party. And please let Cryin' Chuck stay. Leslie?
Well, you know, it's interesting that the president tweets this, because when he was talking about DACA and immigration and some other things, healthcare, he liked to sit down with Chuck and Nancy, crying or not. And quite frankly, although Nancy Pelosi, I would have said, needs to move on, she definitely has showed her leadership ability. So has Chuck Schumer. And with the president, as a matter of fact, in a better position than Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, and other Republicans in power on the right. I do feel there's a difference between who do we put forth as a candidate as Democrats and who do we look at within the party to have leadership. We do have diversity. We had a guy named Barack Obama, who was the first African-American president. And we also have other diverse people coming up, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Julian Castro, and more. But we have a candidate to put on that stage to defeat Donald Trump. I say you have to put the person forth that can do that. I would say my money is on Joe Biden. The VP can be younger and have not such a white guy inside the Beltway
As
face,
Vince
if you
calls
will.
them, old white guys.
And then of course you can have people like Pelosi step aside because clearly Linda Sanchez would like her position.
You would. Vince, quick last word to you.
Well, I just think the Democratic bench is thin. I mean, if they're going to keep playing the old hits, it's just not going to work for them. And because this is a Democratic Party that not only has to struggle to get back into the White House, they're struggling in state legislatures and governorships across the country. 32 of those legislatures now controlled by Republicans, 34 controlled by Republicans in the governor's houses. That's a long way back for the Democratic Party. They can only go up from here.
Well, they did start that, they would say, on Tuesday night.
They did say that, yes.
So we will watch. All right, Vince and Leslie, good to see you both. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you, Shannon.
All right, coming up, Vanessa.